So, to think that interest rates aren't going to affect your small business or your big business, small business versus stock investments versus bond market versus commodities versus foreign currency exchange. If you don't know how interest rates affect that stuff, then you're really in trouble. Not really going to be able to make significant investments with such a flawed understanding of reality. Tim says, hey Derek, it's literally absurd how underpriced a couple of stocks currently are. I could have never imagined that even 2.5 years after March 2020, there are still so many great opportunities in the market. When I first joined your mentoring program in 2020, I remember that you talked about entrepreneurship, the stock market, and also real estate being very intertwined. The more time went by, the more I started to understand what you actually meant by that. If it's okay with you, I'd be happy if you could share a couple of things about how being an entrepreneur has helped you be so incredibly successful as an investor. Thanks a lot, and greetings from Europe. Well, entrepreneurship is the study of small businesses. That's what we're doing. That's what this course is primarily about: is how to build a small business, how to operate a small business, how to create it, how to optimize it, and if you can't contribute to your employer in a significant way, then how the fuck are you going to run things by yourself? So that's why I oftentimes link that up as if you can do a great job in your current, in the business that you might be an employee or a contractor for, well, that's a great start to, your work ethic, that you're a high quality contributor, at least in some areas. So that's a great start, man. All right, but if you can't even do that, if a person can't do that, how would they run a whole fucking operation by themselves? And the next step is if you were running a small business by yourself, then maybe you can start to understand some things about large corporations, about how big businesses work, and the global economy and the global politics implications for running a large scale business, and all the challenges that go with that, which are tremendous and never ending. So a person that can't run their personal household, how would they run a business? And a person that can't run a small business, how would you understand a large business to be able to invest in it intelligently? So I'd say that's the number one thought that I have about how they're intertwined, that you're not going to be any good at the stock market if you don't understand this. If this course is too hard for you, for the couple losers here that are dedicated to doing not much, okay. But if you can't follow a simple instruction in this course, how the fuck would you understand the global economy? How the fuck would you understand, the biggest businesses in the world and the complexity of what's going on there, so you could make an intelligent decision of what is the real value of this company relative to its current stock price? So I think that's vitally important to understand. Manage your personal finance as well, manage your your current career well, and it's at some point they give you the confidence that you could go build something of your own. And if you're doing that well, then at some point you're going to have a lot of surplus cash, and you're going to be able to go buy some stocks or some real estate and make some investment money, instead of just making money for trading your time and your labor. But if a person can't understand the little things, if you can't follow simple instructions, you never understand complex systems. So I hope that's useful to you. Jason says, looking forward to March on the topic. What are a couple points on discerning between people not keeping up versus your own abilities to develop and lead? Most of that just comes from within, A lot of people, they get a little tired, they want to give up. It's uncomfortable, they want to give up. They think if they work really hard for a week or a month and they're not rich yet, they don't see the progress and they want to give up. And I know if I start a new project, I'm going to work hard on it for years. And if I don't have a significant injury, I'll have my black belt in 3 years or so, something like that. About 4 years from the time I started. And black belt in jiu-jitsu oftentimes is about a 10-year process. I anticipate getting that done in about 4 years and at a high level. Maybe I could get it sooner. But I want to know that the skills are there. More important than the belt is knowing that the skills are appropriate. So Yeah, most people just don't have, they can't keep themselves, they think they need to be motivated, and they can't keep themselves motivated. And then they get frustrated, and then they give up. And I hate to break this to everybody, but sometimes you're not going to be motivated, man. Sometimes you don't want to do the shit you're supposed to do, but you got to go do it anyway. So that's what winners do. So that's part of being a professional. Is a professional is somebody that gets results consistently, not sporadically. A professional gets results consistently. So if you want to have consistently good outcomes, you're going to have to create consistently good results, and you won't always feel motivated. So when in the times you're not motivated, you have to be disciplined and make yourself do the shit anyway. You have to. And people that don't do that, David says, thanks, Derek, for mentoring me. My confidence has gone up a lot since I started. I now have an easy time networking with people in person, which was not the case before I met you. The professionals in my industry usually end up adoring me after interacting with me and seem excited to connect with me after, even though I am just getting started. These people usually have more social and financial resources than me, so I'm having trouble understanding what value I brought for them to want to connect with me. I would like to figure this out so I can continue to provide the value. Don't dissect relationships to a point where they're not fun anymore, or where they're totally not fun. And that sounds a little contradictory for some other things that I say, but like, if you start being too robotic or breaking things down, or it seems insincere. So just be thoughtful about that. That people like, probably what's working, honestly, and this is why I'm saying this to you. Probably what's working is you probably are coming across very sincere and very cooperatively, and they can see you're trying to be a team player. And if you get rid of the sincerity and try to make an algorithm out of it, then you're not a human anymore. It'll have the exact opposite effect. So, every engineer on here would like me to just tell them a precise algorithm for them to execute, but that's not how humans behave with each other. It's not going to work, man. So, good question. And, whatever you're doing, keep it up, but a good portion of that probably has to do with you being, sincerely helpful, sincerely cooperative, wanting to add to the situation, and then they start inviting you to some things behind the scenes and so on. So keep doing your part, Bilal says, thank you. I have dropped one of my full-time jobs to focus more on my business. It is still not clear to me what to focus most on starting my business. Stock market, trying to find an opportunity in real estate, or work on some of my personal stuff that I have been ignoring for a while. Any thoughts you have for folks who are in the same situation as me? Well, you learn all three simultaneously, You're going to learn about stocks and real estate and entrepreneurship together. They're all intertwined. Tim made that point, very well earlier. Those three things can't be separated from one another. They're all intertwined. The stock market doesn't do what it does, without impacts to small business and real estate. You have to know all three. And then you have to think about, what are you best at with your specific skills and your specific goals? What are the best opportunities for you at the moment? And then what do you need to continue to learn about that you can fill those voids to create even more good opportunities in the future? So if you do that, you're going to be doing quite well, sir. And be very optimistic for you. But you can't separate them. You can't think about them separately, man. It's all the same thing. You have to. I have to answer a question like this, every week, and I ponder that of like, wonder how many times I have to explain that, like, it's better than the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity is a bunch of bullshit. And if that's not true, may he strike me dead this moment. He wouldn't dare. The Trinity of wealth is more valuable than the fake ass Holy Trinity of Jesus and God's asshole, or whatever the fuck it is. The Trinity of wealth is the three fucking things that are so intertwined together. There's not a fourth. There's not a fifth. Well, first you'd have to understand how entrepreneurship works. To understand how entrepreneurship works, small business. If you understand how a small business works, then you can start to understand how a big business works, which what a fucking stock is a partial ownership in a large business, right? And then real estate. is so intertwined with those that you can't run a small business or a big business and be ignorant of real estate. And furthermore, even if you don't own the real estate for your business, even if you don't have to own it, real estate prices affect consumer spending so much. It's the number one asset that a normal person owns is a home. It's the biggest purchasing decision of most people's lifetime is their home. So, to think that interest rates aren't going to affect your small business or your big business, or small business versus stock investments versus bond market versus commodities versus foreign currency exchange, if you don't know how interest rates affect that stuff, then you're really in trouble. You're really in trouble. You're not really going to be able to make significant investments with such a flawed understanding of reality. Then it's, as Travis said extremely well, and instead of you're making a lot of, making some money, and pretty soon you see some real exponentiality in the money making, you're just going to fucking trickle along. You're going to trickle along. And it's he gave an optimistic version that it looks like this and goes up slowly, but when a person's making important decisions with a flawed model, you see how for many people it might not go up at all. The dumbass decisions that they make may offset the benefits from the positive decisions they make, and if they don't take the opportunity to understand how all the pieces fit together, that's like me thinking well, hey man, writing computer code is just what's that mean? Just some nerds press some fucking keys on the keyboard, right? Ain't that what code is? It's like some nerds hit the keys on the keyboard. I'm a nerd. I got a keyboard. Does that mean I can write code flawlessly? I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think it might be a little more complicated. I think it might help to understand a few other protocols in there and how the pieces fit together to get the thing to do what you actually want it to do. If you don't understand those pieces, it's probably not just being a nerd and hitting some keys on the keyboard. Probably a little more complicated. So you got to understand those three pieces. And if a person doesn't, they choose to remain ignorant to their own detriment. And it's unnecessary. The saddest part is it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Derek will hold you accountable. Derek does not care about your emotions. He cares about your results. And that's what I like about him. That's what I love about him, actually. I can see everybody in the group is winning, and I'm glad to be part of this winning group.
When I come home from work at 9 p.m., do I want to watch TV? No, I actually want to invest in my future and look stuff up, do the reading, and get ahead in life that way.
I think I've learned more about markets in the last 2 weeks than I have in my entire life.
If you listen to Derek, you do the homework, you act on it consistently, you're gonna get results. So if you're a serious person, you really want to get your financial independence, you'd want to take this program.
I'm so happy that you gave me this opportunity to be a part of the program.
Part about options and going in depth of options was excellent. This is the course for you. Don't miss out on this.
I can think of nobody better than Derek, quite honestly, if you are a value investor. If you want to learn how to create long-term wealth with long-term time horizons, lower risk profiles, this is the right place for you to be.
If you knew these contents, how could you actually fail in the long term, really? I don't see how it is possible to lose in the long term when you really know how these things work.
I've gotten a raise, I've increased my profits 50%, I've gotten a side hustle. I'm now working 30 hours a week on this side hustle, making a bunch more money than what I was making before.
Getting into the 3 programs has been extremely valuable because you get such a holistic education.
The biggest lessons from this program were that being around the right people who all are incentivized to put out the maximum they can, it's really motivating. I gained a lot of confidence that I can handle so much workload.
If you're somebody who's thinking about taking a course about the markets, I would highly suggest Derek, especially if you're a serious person who is willing to do anything for their financial freedom, meaning their own personal freedom. You will find a group of fucking winners. in this course.
It's really helped me, and I think it will help you. And I highly recommend that you guys sign up for any of Derek's programs.
If you're really serious and you are able to put in the work, I do think you will find this course immensely valuable.
If you want to ease those doubts and you want to become more financially secure and you want to take steps towards a more financially secure future, I definitely recommend this course.